Hello my Fireflies, and welcome back to the Cyan Firefly. It's me, Lyiat, and today I'm going to give you the TLDR on Fallen Enchantress, a 4X strategy game by Stardock Entertainment. Stardock is responsible for several really interesting titles over the years, including Sins of a Solar Empire and Political Machine 2012. The Cyan Firefly would also like to thank Stardock for sending us review code for their game. Fallen Enchantress is a game set in the world of Elemental, a world once filled with magic that used to house magnificent civilizations. The world was devastated by a war and ripped apart by the Titans, 5 immortal beings which sought to control the world. You now control one of the remaining splintered factions of the world and must strive to master it in whatever way you can. Fallen Enchantress is a 4X turn-based strategy game. Like with most 4X games, you must explore, expand, exploit, and exterminate to get ahead. You control a sovereign either of your own making or one of the pre-generated characters. Your sovereign determines which faction you control. Each sovereign and faction has their own unique attributes and abilities that they can use to get an edge over the competition. Victory is obtained by one of the 4 different conditions. You may win via diplomacy, bloody conquest, the spell of making, or by the master quest. Each condition is difficult, but not impossible. A player may disable conditions as they see fit to customize their experience. Speaking of customizations, this game has an incredible level of customization. The player can make virtually anything they desire right within the game's engine. If you don't like any of the particular factions, feel free to make your own. If you don't like any of the pre-made sovereigns, go ahead, make one yourself. You can even customize buildings, maps, and units. Want a unit of mages that can wield fire staves and ride on wargs? Go right ahead! If you want to make a stupidly powerful death spell that reaches across the entire universe, feel free. It's up to you. This game focuses more on your sovereign and the champions he calls under his service. Your sovereign actually takes place as a unit on the field, and he must find your first settlement himself. He is a powerful unit who may cast spells and manipulate reality via the elemental shards scattered across the world. Each one boosts his power in fantastic ways, boosting the power of spells related to their element. Champions, likewise, take many forms, capable of casting spells like the Sovereign and using abilities to aid your Sovereign's quest. A player may, if they so choose, rely only on his Sovereign, stealing the souls of champions he comes across to gain further power. All hail the Empire! The thing that this game does different from other 4X strategy games is the combat system. Combat takes place on a tactical field rather than on an overworld. Units appear and take turns with one another, battling in a true life or death struggle. It is here that you control their many abilities, skills, and tactical spells you've acquired through leveling them up. Once the battle is over, the slain creatures are removed from the game with the exception of sovereigns and champions. Defeated sovereigns appear on the nearest allied city with a massive penalty to their mana, while defeated champions likewise appear in the nearest city with a randomized penalty that can only be removed through certain powerful items. There are some flaws with this game, however. I'm not a whole sunshine and roses guy, so I can't exactly ignore its bad points. While the options menu is fairly good, it doesn't have very many graphics options. Customization is there, sure, but not actual graphics options, which is kind of a black mark. Furthermore, the options menu lacks any sort of keyboard binding from what I can see. While this isn't necessarily an issue for me, it might be for other people. There is also the lack of any real graphical fidelity. I've seen Stardock's other games. They are really cool, stylized, and really nice looking, especially Sins of a Solar Empire. This game really pales considerably by comparison, with the character models looking rather ugly or silly in most situations. At least the monsters and the maps have some nice designs, but I still feel like it's not up to Stardock's standards. They just could have done better. I'm also not much of a fan of the strange hoops I had to go through to actually play the game. I had to enter the code on Steam to download it, which is simple enough, but this gave me a second code that I had to take to a website to make an account on, which included email verification. I then had to actually log into the game. Luckily the settings are all memorized, so it was a one-time deal, but it's still a little off-putting. It's kinda like dealing with added DRM on Steam, which is already hefty DRM. All things considered, I actually really enjoy this game. It is surprisingly complex and it has a depth I quite enjoy. The insane level of customization also helps quite a bit, even if I haven't quite figured out how to get wargs or horses as a resource yet. Being able to craft your own heroes and level them up on an epic quest while giving them really cool items doesn't hurt either. Ultimately, I would fully recommend this title to anybody with an interest in 4X strategy. But that's all the time I have for this title, folks. This has been a lengthier TLDR than most games, but this game has even more to it than most other titles, so it fits. For now, however, I must bid you all farewell. This has been Lyiat with the Cyan Firefly, coveting the shards of Elemental like Gollum covets the one true ring. I'll see you next time, Fireflies.